Hello and welcome to a new video. I thought today I would do some recommendations of some contemporary romances. So the thing with contemporary romance, for a long time I would have said, oh yeah, I like them, but I don't read a lot of them. But I feel like in more recent years I've realized it's my most read genre. Like, I just need to be real. Like, it's the thing I read the most. I enjoy it. I love it. Definitely there are some that are better than others, but that's true of any genre. So I think I have finally come into my acceptance that it is kind of my favorite genre. So let's get into some of my recommendations. I have some adult contemporary romances as well as some YA contemporary romances. I still love both, I won't lie. It definitely just depends on what mood I'm in. So let's get into the recommendations. First is a YA on the list, and that is Today, Tonight, and Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is one that I read recently in the last couple of months, and I really enjoyed this, and I definitely would put this on the older end of the YA spectrum. They're 18, this is graduation week for them, and it definitely has some mature content. Trigger warning for drug use in this book. But that being said, I really enjoyed these characters. I really enjoyed this story. This follows two characters who are going through some sort of senior scavenger hunt night. It's so made up. If I would be really surprised if there is a real American high school out there that cares this much about graduation, because I know mine didn't. It was not that serious. But regardless, it was fun to read. It's two characters who have been like academic rivals all throughout school, and now they are working together on this scavenger hunt and discover a lot about each other and how they feel about each other. And it is just a really sweet, really funny story. I do realize the scavenger hunt was like the whole plot, but I could have done without it, which I fully realize doesn't make sense. But I almost wish I had these characters and I had this story and I had this emotional development just doing normal things and not necessarily doing scavenger hunt things. But I loved the characters and I loved them getting to know each other and getting to fall in love. And it's a very interesting narrative because it takes place over a very, very short amount of time. Today, tonight, tomorrow. So it's like less than 48 hours. So yeah, I really liked it, and there is a sequel. I just haven't gotten around to reading it yet, but I definitely want to. I really like Rachel Lynn Solomon. I think she writes fun books. Next on the recent read is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I loved this book. I binge read this in a day, driving to California and then sitting on the beach and reading it. It is such a fun story. This is an adult romance. It's definitely pretty low on the spicy scale if I'm remembering right. I actually don't think there's like any spicy scenes in this book that I can remember. Don't quote me on that. I'm looking at this. Oh my god, the font is huge. No wonder I read it so quickly. Look at that. Anyway, this is a story about a girl who, it's a Little Mermaid retelling, Part of Your World. I get it. She is a emergency room doctor in a city. I don't remember if they named the city or not. And she's actually kind of the black sheep of her family because she's not a surgeon. She's lowly, works in the emergency room. And her life is kind of falling apart. The guy that she's been with for years and years, she found out he is cheating on her, so they're breaking up. They might be divorcing. I don't remember if they were married or not, to be honest. Either way, they're splitting up. She's trying to figure out what's going on. And then she finds out that her brother, who had gone to somewhere to do like humanitarian medical work, is not coming back. He married some famous pop star, which I really feel like there's a story there. I feel like she could write a book on those two characters. But he's not coming back, so now the whole legacy is falling on her. She's gonna have to be the one that takes over running the hospital because it's always been someone in her family that's run this hospital for the last like 100 years or something stupid. So we find her. She crashes her car into a ditch in this super small town, and this very attractive young guy helps her by towing her car, and they get to know each other, and one thing leads to another, obviously. And then she thinks, you know, I'm never gonna see this guy again. It is what it is, whatever. but she's drawn back to the town, and they begin a relationship that starts off very casual, and then she can't let go and he can't let go. He is facing a lot of issues in that he is trying to pay off his grandparents' house so he can keep it running as a bed and breakfast inn type of vibe, but he doesn't have any money. So it's a very interesting dynamic, very interesting emotional conversations between the two of them. The family trauma in both of their stories, hard-hitting, so like horrible to read, but so well written. And I just really liked the relationship and the conversation that happened between the two of them. It is technically an age gap romance too. They kept talking about like, oh, I'm too old for you. I'm like, they were maybe 8 years apart, and I was like, is this even an age gap? Like, I feel like they're just being dramatic, but I really, really liked it. I liked her like medical part of the story a lot. It's hard for me to like medical plot lines and stories a lot of the time. As someone who works in a hospital, I'll just be like, that's wrong. But this one, the way they talked about the hospital, the way they talked about patients, the way they kind of just approached the whole thing, I was like, this is somebody who knows what's up. And maybe Abby Jimenez's husband or like someone like in her family is medical, because she really is hitting it on the nose. I don't think she is. She's the one that has the cupcake bakery, isn't she? Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was the one that was on the TV show. Hold on. Yeah, Nadia Cakes. Yeah, so she's a baker and an author. She's just hitting it on all marks, but loved this book, and it was laugh out loud funny. So much fun. Next, I have a couple books by Christina Lauren to recommend. I love all of Christina Lauren's books, but for this list, my adult romance from them, I put The Unhoneymooners. This one is just pure fun. It's just silly, it's fun, it's cute, and it's a perfect summer read because it's like destination, like beauty island. It's so much fun. This follows a character who ends up having to take a honeymoon with someone she did not just marry. Her sister, I believe it was her twin sister if I remember right, yeah, her twin, just got married, and then everyone at the wedding except for her, the main character, and the best man get food poisoning from the food at the wedding. And because they were the only two that didn't eat, they were fine, and the bride twin, I don't remember their names, Olive is the main character, don't know what the twin's name was, but she was like, you need to just take the vacation with him because you know, it's non-refundable. It's something she had won in like a giveaway, so they go on a honeymoon together and they actually hate each other. It's fantastic, it's beautiful, I love it. I had so much fun reading this book. In fact, I kind of want to reread it. I haven't read a Christina Lauren in a while. I need to read another one. I just think it is such a fun story. They have just an incredible chemistry and incredible banter, and it's a lot of fun. And if I remember right, yeah, I think this is signed. Oh, this is a print from The Soulmate Equation, which I actually haven't read yet. I have it on Kindle, but I should read it. I met Christina Lauren a couple years back, and I think I got this one signed. Yeah. Look at that. I forgot I had this signed, to be honest. But yeah, I should reread this one because it is such a joy. Next, I have a YA recommendation from Christina Lauren, and this is one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Autobiography. This is a YA to new adult romance that follows a character who moves from, I believe, California. Yeah, California to Utah. And in California, he was out as bisexual, yes. And he was normal, it was accepted, like it was chill back in California, but he moves to Provo, Utah. If you've been to Provo, Utah, it's not the most open place in the world. It is a highly religious area, a lot of Mormons. And so he decides, you know, I'm not dealing with this. It's like the last semester of senior year. He goes back in the closet, so to say. He just wants to kind of survive. They move because his parents, one of his parents got a really good job. And he's like, and then I'll go to college and I'll, you know, get to live my life truly. As someone who grew up around a lot of Mormons. I'm not from Utah, but I'm from Arizona, but in my area, it's highly populated with Mormons. And as someone who is the opposite of religious. It was such a weird experience growing up and witnessing all of that. And I think seeing how people interact with that story in this book is just like so true to my own experience that I like observed growing up. It's very well written. And I think, I don't remember if Christina or if Lauren is from Utah, but one of them is from Utah, and worked with high schoolers specifically. But anyway, our main character, Tanner, I guess, I'm not good at remembering character names, moves to Utah. He said, I'm not gonna deal with this, I'll just pretend to be straight and then I'll get out and go to college. But then he meets his English writing class's TA, and he's like, he's cute, and develops a little bit of a crush on him, and finds out that he is the son of the bishop, which is like one of the high up people in the Mormon church. Basically, it just means that they make the most money, but I won't get into my, you know, Mormon church conspiracies right now. And they develop a relationship, which is a big deal because the Mormon church in this area specifically and in this time period, and frankly I don't think much now, it's not super open to LGBT plus because of their beliefs or whatever. So the main character, who is the son of the bishop, has a lot of religious trauma, and together they kind of develop a relationship. He's trying to work through that. Tanner is just trying to work through like everything, like the trauma of coming out and then going back in and like trying to deal with that, moving towns, all of that, and just growing up. And it is one of the most beautiful books I have ever read. I mean, it is a contemporary romance, but there is a lot more going on in this story than just the romance. And I love it, and I recommend it to literally everybody. If you have not read this book, what are you doing? It's been out for like 10 years. Please go read it. Should I reread it? Probably. Next, another book. Speaking of trauma, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is one of my all-time favorite contemporary romances. I've read this one multiple times. This is a new adult romance, I would say. It's definitely adult in that there are some like spicier scenes, but the characters are younger. They are somewhere between like 18 and 21. I don't remember. But this is an alternate world where the son of the President of the United States meets the Prince of England, and they hate each other until they don't. There's also a movie, and there's also a movie sequel coming, which I cannot wait for. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to see what they do with the story, where they take it from here. This story is so beautifully written. It's so emotional. It's so raw, and just like these characters both have to come into their own and have to find themselves before they can really like learn to love each other, and that is like the most beautiful part. I love both of them so much. I could gush about this book forever. It is one of the cutest books I've ever read, but also like one of the most emotional and just like moving stories I've ever read. And the movie, while missing like quite a few details of the plot, the movie captures the emotion so well. Will I watch this movie today? Maybe. I love this. It's such a good story. I think everyone should read this one too. Next, I have another YA story, and this one's kind of an old one, but I still am putting it on my list, and that is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is a YA romance, contemporary romance, that is just one of the silliest, but one of the funnest. And I think the reason I love it so much is just the sentimentality I have towards this book is exponential. I could never explain how much I love this book and how important this book is to me, just based on the time in my life when I read it. So this is about a character. Her name is Kath, and then her twin's name is Ren. How many books have twins in them? And get it, it's Catherine, blah, blah. But she feels like very much kind of the forgotten one. She feels like she just doesn't really fit in. They are starting college, and she just feels incredibly lonely, and she just doesn't really know where she fits in, what she's going to do with her life, But she does have books. Are we seeing a trend here? Are we seeing the connection? Why this might matter to me a lot? And she has her books and she has her writing, and her passion in life are these books about Simon Snow, which is like Harry Potter, but it's not. And she loves to write fan fiction about them. Now, my favorite part about this entire thing is the fan fiction she writes is what prompted Rainbow Rowell to write the Carry On series about Simon Snow and Baz. And those are my favorite books of the year. So I'm a big fan. But anyway, this is about her as she's learning to navigate her new, like, young adult life, and she meets Levi and they develop a relationship and they're very cute and I love them very much. But just all of her insecurities and the way she approaches life, like, because she just doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what she's doing, and I love that for her, and it's so good. Will I reread this one soon? Probably. This is just a reread TBR, to be honest. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Please go read this. Next, I have a couple books by Sarah Adams, and look, here's the thing. I recommend every single book Sarah Adams has ever wrote, even if I haven't read it yet, because there's like 2 or 3 I haven't read yet. I recommend those 2. I don't need to read them to know that I recommend them. But my 2 favorites are When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. Don't get me wrong, I really, really love Cheat Sheet too. And actually, I think I do have it up there. You can't, it's out of frame. But I recommend Cheat Sheet as well. Anything she's written, I recommend it. She is the queen of contemporary romances in my head. But these ones are making my favorite list because they're just so good. I just applied for the ARC of the 3rd one on NetGalley. Do I think I'm gonna get it? No, because I literally think I have a 0% on NetGalley because I never use it, but I'm hoping. I'm just hoping, maybe, for some reason they give it to me. But anyway, this is a small town romance series. When in Rome follows a mega super pop star a la Taylor Swift, who has a little bit of a mental breakdown and decides to just leave. She just wants to leave. And inspired by Audrey Hepburn in the movie, is the movie called When in Rome too? No, it's called, I'm blanking, but the Audrey Hepburn movie with Gregory Peck and she goes to Rome, Italy. She can't get to Rome, Italy right now, so she goes to Rome, Kentucky. But then her car breaks down and she's freaking out, But then this cute little guy comes out and is like, do you need help? And she's like, no, you're probably a serial killer. I don't need your help. And he's like, hold on. He goes and gets his home phone. Okay? Doesn't even have a cell phone. I hope I'm remembering that detail right. I'm pretty sure I am. And it's like, here, talk to her. And he calls the like old lady in town. She's great. Love her. Can't remember her name. And he's like, can you just tell her I'm not a serial killer and I'm actually offering to help? And she talks to the old lady on the phone and realizes he's not a serial killer. He's actually great. And so she stays the night at his house and she is just so refreshed and like already feeling better because 1, she's run away from her crazy life, and 2, he doesn't know who she is. And that relief that she feels is just what she needs. And so she stays in this town, and it's like in Hannah Montana the movie where they all are like, we promise we'll keep your secret because it's a small town and we all love each other and we care about each other. It's that exact vibe. And they protect her from the paparazzi and they just let her have her time to recover and to heal. And it's so amazing. And the conversations in both of these books that Sarah Adams writes about her female main characters, about their mentality, about their need to break out from being the good girl, from being people pleasers, to working through their anxiety is so incredible. I think Sarah Adams and I would be best friends. Anyway, next, Practice Makes Perfect. This is my #1 contemporary romance of the year. I loved it so much. I can't even really explain in words that, like, how much I loved it. This is the 2nd book in the series. The 3rd one comes out soon. I mean, like 5 months, but still. This one follows Will's sister. Is Will? No, Noah. Will is in this one. Noah's sister, his youngest sister, if I'm remembering correctly. She owns a flower shop. She's adorable. I love her. I want to be her. More importantly, I am her. Like, emotionally and mentally, I was like, oh, did Sarah Adams like read my brain before she wrote this character? Because it feels like she did. And she is trying to break out from this good girl people pleasing like mentality and try and live a normal life. And what I love so freaking much about her is that she has a conversation about how like she doesn't have these big dreams. She doesn't want to travel the world, you know, or doesn't want to do the things her sisters want to do. She doesn't want to break out and do all these crazy things. She just wants to live her life and be happy, but she doesn't even know how to do that because she doesn't know how to break out of the image of being the baby sister, of being this sweet, kind, you know, well-behaved girl, when she just wants to be a woman and just be normal and live her life and be happy, and she doesn't know how to do that. And I loved it so much. And this is the romance with, from the first one, from Amelia's bodyguard. He moves to the town for a little while because she moves to the town. And so he's working there with her, and he meets Noah's little sister, and they develop a relationship. At first it's like fake dating. He's gonna like teach her how to behave on dates, how to like get a guy basically, and then obviously they fall in love. So I love these books more than I could ever explain. This one is like slightly on the spicier side. This one is pretty clean. Sarah Adams in general writes cleaner romances, but I love this so much. Did I mention Noah had a pie shop, by the way? This man owns a pie shop. Oh, I love these books so much. Please read them. Next, this is one I read years and years and years ago, but it's getting put on this list because it's one of the first contemporary romances I read that really made me love the genre, and that is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I feel like in the last year or so, Tessa Bailey has really blown up on Book Talk, so she's no longer like someone only I know about, which sounds stupid. She was never someone only I know about, but she's like way, way, way popular now. I love that for her. This is by far my favorite book of hers. There's only one scene in this book that I don't like, and that's just because it made me uncomfy, but that's okay. Overall, I love this relationship. I love these characters. Sensing a Trend, this is another character who is like the little sister. I'm not even a little sister, but she's the little sister. She's the good girl. She's the one everyone thinks is sweet and kind, and she just wants to be more than that. She wants to be her own person. I should bring that up in therapy. Anyway, so this is her story. They are fixing up a house, if I remember correctly. It's been so long since I've read this one. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're renovating, is that a word? A house, and he is a professional baseball player. And I think his brother's best friend, if I'm remembering right. I believe so. But yeah, this one, again, should I reread this? I remember really, really loving this at the time, and it was one of the big first contemporary romances I read and got into, which is why it made the list. So even if I can't remember the plot, but that's okay. Lastly, now that I've been talking for 1200 years, my last recommendation is Spoiler Alert by Livia Dade. This is a book that surprised me the most, which is why I put it on this list, because it was so fun. First of all, plus size heroine representation. Adore that, which there was more on this list. But this is a story about a girl who writes fan fiction for a show that's kind of like Game of Thrones, but it's not Game of Thrones. And then she has the, I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say. She gets to meet the main actor from the show, and they start to develop a relationship, but she never really mentions that she is a huge fan and writes fan fiction for this show. It's actually very popular fan fiction. In fact, it's so popular he's even a big fan of the fan fiction. And so they start to develop a relationship and all of that, and that's kind of the thing that's behind the scenes for them. But I really, really love this one. For a long time, just like I used to say, like, I like contemporary romance, but it's not my favorite. Lie. I, for a long time, said, you know, I don't like celebrity romances. It's just not my vibe. I think at this point, I've read so many of them that I love. When in Rome being one of them, I need to just admit that I actually do really like celebrity romances. So that's what this one is, and it was great and I loved it, and it was a lot of fun. It was laugh out loud funny, and it just had a really good conversation about vulnerability and like self-confidence and just like communication between the characters, and I just really loved it. And I definitely will be picking up the sequels soon-ish, next time I'm in a contemporary romance mood. But yeah, I really love this one. So those are some of my contemporary romance recommendations. That was a much longer video than I was anticipating, but this is a stack of books that I just really love. So I hope you enjoy my recommendations, maybe pick up some of them. I upload videos every week and I'm trying to upload more. We'll see how that goes. But like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!